Let's do this. Hi guys, welcome to the Live Flexibility Yoga Challenge. My name is Sarah Beth, and this yoga challenge is for all levels. So remember that if you feel challenged, or if you feel like you're new, or you need to modify, and by the way, modifying is totally good because it helps you get stronger faster. All of that is so welcome today, and this is the kind of sequence that I want you to repeat later. So with that in mind, if you have props, bring those to your mat. Go ahead and step away for a minute right now and go grab your block, go grab your strap. These kinds of things are totally going to help you get further in your practice faster. This flexibility yoga challenge will help you both improve and measure your flexibility. Because if you do this again in a week, in a month, in a year, you will see a huge difference in these postures. So are you guys ready? Let me know in the live chat if you're with me live. If you're recording, you're watching the recording, then get on your mat and let's get started. All right, you guys. Let's get going. I hope you guys can see me back here. I hope you can still hear me back here. I'm going to make my live chat a little bit bigger so I can still read what you guys are saying when I'm on my mat. But ideally, you guys are also on your mat. Thumbs off your phones, right? All right, let's get going. On your mat for the Live Flexibility Yoga Challenge. You guys ready? We're going to begin in just a standard hero position, sitting on your shins and on your ankles. So this right here is a really good indication of the flexibility of your ankles, because if you're sitting like this and right away your ankles start to cramp up, that means that you need a little bit more ankle mobility, ankle flexibility. And really, one of the best ways to do that is those ABCs with your ankles. They teach you this in like rehab, where you draw A's, B, C, and you go all the way through to Z. Do that every day and you'll definitely help with your ankle mobility. In the meantime, you can prop by rolling a towel or a blanket underneath your ankles. So from here, place your hands in your lap. Take a big breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. I needed that. Again, in and out. One more time. In and out. And then seal your lips and try to breathe in and out through your nose for the rest of the practice today, because that's going to help you stay calm and focused. Come into a tabletop on your hands and knees and just find any movement that feels good for you. So that could be cat-cow, dropping your belly, lifting your chin, then rounding your spine. It could be some circles with your hips, circles with your neck, anything really that works for you this morning to help you just warm up what feels creaky. And then we're going to make our way to downward facing dog, but continue with your free movement in down dog, pedaling out your legs, wagging your hips side to side, just kind of warming up, waking up. And this next sequence that we're going to go into is going to be a little bit of a challenge. So remember that when you're feeling a burn, or if you're feeling a little bit challenged, I am doing that on purpose. I want you to really, really warm up before we get into some of those bigger flexibility poses. So come forward to the top of your mat and hang heavy in a deep forward fold. You can separate your feet even wider. Definitely bend your knees. You'll hinge deeper at your hips when you do so. Let your head hang heavy, relax your jaw. And if you want, you can just grab onto your elbows, swaying side to side, breathing up and down your spine. And then add a chest expansion here. You'll just interlace your hands behind your lower back, press your knuckles up towards the ceiling, and if it feels good, you can let gravity take hold as your arms fall forward. Now, I know a lot of you feel particularly tight in the chest, so if this is the case and just this right here is kind of hard to get to, remember that you can always take a strap or a towel between your hands, giving you that extra space, and that's going to allow you to get deeper into your chest at the moment so that eventually you might not need that towel anymore. All right, so release your hands or release your towel, toe heel your feet together, and sit back into a chair pose. Yep, we're starting off with a little bit of heat. So now chair usually looks like this, right? Where you're kind of sitting a little bit into your chair. You can see your toes past your knees, that's good. Maybe you're pressing your knees together, that's even better. I want you to sit deeper. So bring your hands together at heart center so you can really focus on your legs. Sit back. There you go. Now sit back a little bit deeper. Remember, this has purpose. I want you to wake up, warm up the muscles in your legs, your thighs, your hips. Sit back a little bit deeper. I know you feel it, so breathe, okay? In and out through your nose. For 3, 2, sit back deeper, you got this. 1, stand up, mountain pose, shake it out. That was good. All right, we're gonna come back into chair. You don't have to sit nearly as deep this time, just a normal chair for you. Arms reaching up overhead, sit back into your hips, press your inner thighs together, relax your shoulders. From here, inhale. Exhale to airplane your arms. So as if you were trying to graze the mat with your fingertips, palms face down, shoulders roll open here. And for a little extra challenge, try lifting your left heel up towards your left glute, pointing through your toes. Some people call this flamingo. Remember, this challenge is on purpose, so stay focused. If you fall out because of balance, just come right back in. Do what works for you today, forget the rest. You're here for 3. Set your gaze on one spot for balance. 2, 1, one leg mountain pose, bring your left knee up. So left knee is in line with your left hip. The reason why you want your gaze, you want to look at one thing that's not moving, is because it's like you have blinders on. You're not distracted by the things around you. So from here, set up a figure 4. Place your ankle above your knee, bring your hands together heart center, and sit back into your hips. A lot of sensation right now. You're gonna feel your right hip starting to burn again, the muscles are working, but your left hip is opening up and there's some blood flow. That should feel pretty good. So if you want, you can sit back a little bit deeper. You can always just rest your hands on your legs for a modification. That's okay too. If you're feeling really flexible, maybe hands down to the mat. This is going to come in really helpful later, so get the most out of it while you're here now. Gaze is set on one spot. Go ahead and rise back up into your one-leg mountain, and then set up a dancer. So reach back with your left hand, grab onto the inner arch of your left foot. Knees are still together. You're not splaying your knees open. Reach your right arm up, and then kick your left foot into your left hand to bow into the pose. Remember, I said this is for all levels. So if you're feeling discouraged, if you're like, oh my gosh, what is this? This is on purpose. I want you to feel your body, feel the burn in your right leg, because that is going to pay off when you stretch out later. You're here for 3. Kick your foot into your hand. 2, open up through your chest. And 1, airplane. So fingertips pointing back, drive back through your left heel. 3, you're coming down, and 2 to a low lunge. 1, low lunge. Great job. So right here, just take a moment to sink into your hip. Maybe rock front and back, get into your left hip flexor. I can feel that in my right calf, right ankle, right glute, right hip. The muscles in the right side are ready for an opening, but we need to get that left side. So from here, plant your hands down, gripping into your mat. Come into a 3-leg down dog with your right leg reaching high. Nice big stretch, then back to your downward facing dog. Pedal out your legs. Notice if either side feels different than the other. And then from here, look up, bend your knees. Step your feet to touch top of the mat. For a halfway lift, just slide your hands up your shins, press your heart forward. Take a couple of breaths here and even the weight out in your feet, so you're not just in your heels. And when you do so, you might be able to sink deeper into your hips. Someone asked me recently, what does it mean to hinge at your hips? What I mean when I say that is that I want you, when you're bending, to bend from your hips in a fold. And if you're feeling so tight in your hamstrings, that means it's coming from the back, then you You gotta bend your knees even more so that you can really hinge from your hips. From here, forward fold, and then let's come back to chair pose. Set your gaze on that one spot. Set up for your strong balance and airplane your arms. Roll your shoulders open and perch your right heel up towards your right glute like a flamingo, waking up your left leg. Breathing smooth and deep through your nose. Three, to your one leg mountain, and two, and one. Come up with your right knee lifting up, one leg mountain pose. So if you are really flexible and you're feeling it today, you're like, I got this, you can always try straightening out your right leg too. Or just keep it bent, like I said on the other side. So from here, let's set up our figure four. Place your ankle above your knee, hands at heart center, sink into your hips. Allow your right hip to open, let it feel good. Allow your left hip to work and warm up. I bet your body is already feeling warm. I'm feeling warm, ready for some deeper openings to come. We're almost there. Back to your one leg mountain pose. Right knee lifting, and then set up your dancer. Reach back with your right hand, grab on, and you want your knees together. You want your right thumb pointing back or up towards the ceiling, not closed through your shoulder, but open through your shoulder. From here, just lengthen and reach through your left arm, and then kick your right foot into your right hand. So the more you extend your right leg into your right hand, the more that your body will bow, and the more you'll tip forward in your dancer pose. Remember, if you fall out, just come right back in. No judgment. Have some compassion for yourself and your practice. So you're here for 3, 2, observe all the sensation, and 1, airplane. This is it, you guys, so stay strong. Driving back through your heel, open through your shoulders. 3, 2, 1, low lunge. Great job. Just sink into your hips. Let it feel good. And then plant your hands down, fingers fan out wide, gripping into the mat. And reach your left leg up and back into a 3-leg down dog. Big stretch. To your downward facing dog. Pedal it out. All right, take a seat on your knees and heels. And here at this point, at this moment in the sequence, I had one more thing planned. If you're used to my Cardi Yoga, full body yoga workout, the power yoga workout, then you'll know what it is. It's called the bear walk. And I'm thinking that we should do it anyway, even though I'm like, I feel warm, I'm ready to go. And I bet you are too. But as I mentioned, the more you can warm up beforehand, the deeper the stretch that you'll get after, because your body, your muscles are ready for it. So if you're just like, oh my gosh, not another, then just take a sip of water, watch, maybe laugh. But if you want to join me, if you're ready for this challenge, it'll be like 30 seconds, it'll be fire. Then just meet me in a standing position at the back of your mat. Separate your feet nice and wide. This one's crazy, you guys. And then sit back into your hips, as if you were just taking a normal squat, right? Normal squat, sitting back into your hips. Feet are nice and wide, and you're gonna come down even lower, like happy baby. Thread your hands through to grab onto your ankles. So you're like wrapping your arms underneath your thighs, grab onto your ankles. Now don't do this with your hips up, okay? Get your hips low. Big challenge, keep your hips low. And if you want, you can just take your hands on top of your feet. You can just grab onto your ankles, do what works for you, but the hips stay low. Are you ready? We're gonna take a walk to the top of the mat. This is nuts. Go one little step at a time. You got this. I'm taking it nice and slow. Oh my gosh, I'm halfway there. It is fire. We're almost there to the top of the mat. I'm gonna step on things. All right, now we're gonna go back. You got this. Warming it up. The fire's on purpose. You can feel the burn. Oh, I can feel the burn. I hope you're doing this with me. All right, let it go, shake it out. If you did that cardio yoga, the power yoga workout, then you know that we don't just go front and back, we go into circles and all that too, because it's fun. It's a fun way to get the burn, right? Big breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Take a seat on your mat. If you ever want to just release heat from your body, in through the nose, out through the mouth. When you want to stay calm, you want to maintain a sense of calm and focus, in and out through your nose. So now, seal your lips. Calm it down. Let's come back to down dog, and now we're going to stretch it out. So, from your downward facing dog, pedal out your legs. Then step your right foot through. Now, if your foot gets caught halfway, just grab your ankle with your hand to pull it up. Lower your back knee down to your mat. And right here, this is a place where you can just stay and observe the sensation in your left hip flexor opening up. Shouldn't take too long for it to start to feel comfortable. And then when it does start to feel comfortable, go ahead and take your hands to your knees, lift up into a crescent moon, and reach your arms overhead. Right heel is drawing back as your left knee is pulling forward. So you're not just sinking into the pose, you're not dumping into the pose, but there's some engagement. That engagement will allow you to open up your left hip flexor even more. Grab your left wrist with your right hand, just stretch through your left side body, reaching up through your left fingertips. And then lower both hands down to your mat and reach your right hand back to grab onto your left foot. Now, if you're trying this and you're like, what in the world? Your foot's over here maybe. Just know that just by reaching, just by doing this, you're getting closer. Your body is responding to what you demand of it. And just by doing this means that maybe in a week, maybe in a month, you'll be able to do this. But you can also wrap a towel or a strap around your foot to pull it in. So do what works for you. If you've got a hold of your foot, just hold and breathe. I know you can feel that stretch. No need to pull right now. Just allow the opening to happen. Because if you pull or if you strain too much in something as big as this, your body will defensively tense back. So you're basically telling your body, hey, trust me, I got this. Now notice when you breathe, if you can feel your breath in that sensation. And if that sounds kind of weird to you, just know that your body has a layer of fascia. It's like underneath the skin, it holds everything together. It's like webbing, and everything is connected. So you breathing deeply and opening through your torso is going to affect the sensation of the stretch you're feeling in your hip. So now if you're feeling a little bit warm, your body is trusting you a little bit more, see if you can pull it in just a little bit. If it doesn't feel good, if it's uncomfortable, then by all means back out. Do not ever push through or past pain or discomfort. So for those of you that are really into like power yoga and vinyasa yoga, the flowing and challenging yoga, there is a space for this, for just hatha and restorative. Now, if your knee hurts, if you're doing this and it hurts just because of the tension, the pulling, then back out, all right? If your knee hurts because it's pressing down on like a hardened floor, then you might need to put some padding underneath your knee. You're here for 3, 2, 1. Lower your back leg down. Shift your hips back. So I do this one all the time. It's Hanumanasana prep or splits prep. If you flex your toes back towards your face, you're going to feel a big opening through your hamstring. And do you remember when I said hinge from your hips? This is a place where it's too easy for people to round in their back thinking, all right, I'm folding now. No. You want to first get tall so you can find your hips, nice long flat back, and then hinge forward. And this is where a block could come in handy. And hinging is going to allow you to actually target your hamstrings. So just take a couple of breaths here. Train your body to trust you. Calm and grounded. Now, you may have heard me say it before, that your inhales will naturally lengthen your spine. So help by inhaling to lengthen, pull your heart towards your toes. Then your exhales will naturally fold you deeper. So help by hinging just a little bit deeper. Could be millimeters that you're moving, but use your breath to inhale, lengthen. Exhale, deepen. Now let's take this back even further. Go ahead and slide back so you're sitting on your back heel. Your right hip is going to be lifting off the mat. That's good, because I want your hips even here. But if it's just uncomfortable or you want some support, you can slide a block underneath your right hip, even a folded up towel, blanket, sweatshirt, whatever you got. So from here, lengthen your spine and hinge from your hips. Now, if you were saying earlier that your knee hurts, your knee feels maybe a little inflamed, or you have past injury, this might be too much compression for you. So go back to the original Hanumanasana prep that we were doing, just stay there. But take what works for you, and wherever you are, take several deep breaths to really get in to your right hamstring, right leg. If you're still new in your practice somewhat, and a posture like this is just kind of that really uncomfortable feeling of like, fire, I can't touch my toes, oh my gosh. Just know that if you are consistent, you'll break through that discomfort very quickly, within maybe a week or two even. So it's really about consistency. See if you can go a little bit deeper. And remember to relax your jaw, your eyebrows, your hands, your shoulders. How can you expect your hamstring, this huge muscle, to relax if you're tensing everything else up? Just a couple more breaths. Three, two, one. Take your time as you rise. Lift up off your back hip, walk your hands forward, make your way back to your downward facing dog, pedaling out your legs, noticing any difference in sensation here. Probably feels pretty good as the blood flow returns back to your right leg. And when you're ready, step your left foot forward. Remember to get your ankle underneath your knees. If you need to grab your ankle, pull it up, do so. Sink into your hips, lower your back knee down, just stay here. Give your body a chance to recognize what's going on so you can get through that defensive tensing. And one side might feel more tight than the other. It might be just today, it might be always, and know that that's actually pretty normal. It's pretty normal for us to have one side that maybe we favor, one side that is more dominant, one side that is tighter or looser. But even though that's normal, just remember that you want to treat both sides the same. You want to make sure that you're not really favoring and sinking into the more flexible side and then babying the tight side. But instead, find a middle ground that you can do with both so that they can slowly come towards balance. So from here, hands on your knees, lift up into your crescent moon. And remember to scissor your legs together. So you're not just sinking into your hips and dumping in. If I do that, you can see that like my belly falls out. There's no engagement here. You want to engage, draw your left heel back, pull your right knee forward, and by doing so, your lower abs will engage, and you can actually lift out of your hips, support your lower back, and your right hip flexor gets a supportive, engaging opening. So arms reach up, legs are engaged, shoulders are soft. And then grab onto your right wrist and just lengthen through your right side body. Just stretch. Now, if you haven't been on your mat in a while, or maybe you still feel somewhat new to your practice, just remember that all of these poses were challenging for all of us in the beginning. We all started as beginners. As I mentioned, consistency is key. So take your hands down to your mat, sink into your hips. You may need to move around a little bit. And when you're ready, reach back with your left hand for your quad opener. So you can grab onto your foot. You can lasso it in with your strap or your towel, or you could even just practice on reaching here. You want to make sure that you are sinking somewhat into your hips. You have a sense of engagement through your whole body. Right hand is fanned out, gripping into your mat, but if you need more height, you can always come up on fingertips or on a block. Open through your chest and through your shoulder. This is a little bit of a twist as well. And then find a breath. So deep, in and out through your nose. You can feel some of this breath maybe increasing the sensation in your right hip and right glute, or right hip flexor, I mean. If you're feeling like, all right, my body trusts me now and feel pretty good, go ahead and try pulling it in a little bit deeper. But again, do not push through or do not push past any kind of pain or any kind of discomfort that's a message that your body's saying, oh no, this is not good. So just take what works for you. Even a little bit is better than nothing. For 3, 2, 1. Lower your back leg down, shift your hips back. Stay above your back knee for now and just flex your left toes back for our Hanumanasana prep. So you want your hips squared off towards the front of your mat. You want to make sure that you're hinging from your hips and not your middle or lower back. So again, if you need to lift up and use a block, if you don't have a block, grab a thick, big book and use that or something like that. So you can focus on keeping a nice long spine, open through your chest, and hinging from your hips. And when you do so, you should feel a big opening to your left hip flexor, or left hamstring, I mean. So that's the challenge for me about going live, is I can't edit that out. Just have to push through. Except when I'm actually teaching the classes that you guys take on the app or, in my YouTube channel, I can edit that out and make it sound nice and perfect. But the truth is this is real, this is raw, this is authentic. And in some ways it's like more fun, right? So let's hinge a little bit deeper. Remember, inhales, lengthen your spine, heart towards your toes. Exhale, hinge from your hips. Fold a little deeper. For those of you that are app members, have been practicing with me in the classes on the app or downloading the videos in the app, you'll be happy to hear that I've got a hips and splits class coming out this winter that I use to get deeper in my splits, and you can use to get deeper in your splits as well. So I'm really excited about that, and you guys have been asking me about it. All right, you guys, let's sit back on the back heel. You still want your hips square here. Left toes flexing back. You might feel a little tippy. You can always use your hands to support you. Or if you do on the other side, slide across underneath your left hip. And then from here, sit up tall and hinge forward. And if your hamstrings are feeling tight, your hinge and your fold might look like this. This might be as far as you go to feel that hamstring open, and that's where you are today. And then if you come back and do this in 3 days, in a week, you do it consistently in a month, you might be here. You really surprise yourself how quickly your body responds to what you demand of it. And since I'm mic'd up, I feel like I have to say I am sniffly because it feels like we're like constantly sick right now. There's just like, you know, I have a toddler, and the yoga is helping to bring out some of that right now. So listening to me live, you're so lucky. Let's hinge a little bit deeper. Remember to relax your jaw, relax your eyebrows, your hands, your shoulders. If you are so deep that you're like, there's no way I can relax my shoulders, that means that you've gone too far. Your body is defensively tensing up. So just back off until you can find that place where you can be chill, even though the sensation is super intense. We're here for just a few more slow and deep breaths. Sometimes for some of you, you've mentioned that it feels like your leg is falling asleep or your foot is falling asleep in postures like this, and that means you just need to back out a little bit and give it some blood, right? And then you can come back in. And that's just part of your practice today. I know that that's something that can change, but what's most important is that you're not straining to match some image that you think you should look like, but just meet your practice where it is today. So let's go ahead and lift out, come back to down dog, take a moment to just pedal out. And for everybody's favorite pose, we're going to go into half pigeon. So when you're ready, bring your right knee towards your right wrist, even past your right wrist towards the side of your mat, because you want your hip to be open. So your knee is further than your hip is towards the side of your mat, right? Now your shin is probably not going to be parallel to the front of your mat, so forget about that. Instead, make sure that your shin is in a place where you can still square your hips off to the front of your mat. So your hips are facing the front of your mat right now. You're not opened up to the side here. So if you are feeling flexible, then by all means, you can bring your shin up higher. Most important is that your hips are squared off and your knees are supported and protected here. So if at any point it doesn't feel right for your knees, then you're going to come onto your back or even onto your seat and just take a figure four like this instead. All right, so wherever you are, feel free to stay lifted in your half pigeon if it helps you get into your left hip flexor, if your left hip flexor needs a little bit more love right now. Otherwise, you'll just lower down to your forearms. Maybe eventually you'll lower your forehead all the way down to your mat or onto your prop. We're going to be here for a minute or two just to give our body time to settle in. A little backstory for you guys. When I was 16, so 12 years ago, I remember that this pose was one that I wanted to like, but oh my goodness, I did not. It just was so uncomfortable. It felt weird. My body just wasn't ready for it, and it just goes to show that if you are consistent in your practice and you meet your practice for where it is, instead of like pushing through and trying to match a textbook pose, your body will get there eventually, okay? But it takes time, and the lesson for you is patience. So right now, make sure you're in that spot, in this posture where you can still breathe in and out through your nose. You can still relax your whole body, from your jaw through your shoulders, your hips through your toes. Just observe and appreciate the sensation of your right hip opening up. And if you're on your back doing the figure four, if you're sitting and doing the figure four, you can always take it in a little bit closer by drawing your legs in closer. And sometimes that variation, the figure four, will allow you to actually get deeper into your hip than this half pigeon could at the moment. So take what works for you. for just a couple more deep breaths. And take your time as you slowly rise. Now, if you really like that, and you're like, oh, I could have been there for a couple more minutes, make sure you check out my yin yoga series, because in that series, we end up holding a posture like this and similar postures for minutes. And there's music that keeps you calm and cues to keep you grounded. So from here, go ahead and draw your right ankle a little bit closer towards your hip. It's just so that you can get a little bit more blood flow to your right thigh, because we're going to go into a mermaid variation, and this is one of those poses that will be different for every single one of you doing it today. So for mermaid, you'll plant your right hand down for support as you bend your back knee, reach back with your left hand, and grab onto your foot. And today that might mean just reaching, or it might mean grabbing your strap or your towel and lasso your foot to pull it in, right? Now make sure that your hips are still squared off to the top of your mat. That means if there was like headlights on your two sharp hip bones, they'd be pointing forward. From here, just give your body a chance to recognize what's going on. Breathing calm and deep in and out through your nose. You can slowly draw your leg in a little closer, and don't get discouraged. If this is all where your mermaid's going to be today, that's your mermaid today, okay? But if you do it again in 3 days, your mermaid might be here. And 3 days after that, your mermaid might be here. And eventually you might hit that full mermaid variation, but definitely not any faster than what your body is meant to do, all right? So if your body's feeling calm and ready, then go ahead and start working your toes into your wrist crease. And when you're ready, start working your toes into your elbow crease. So that might take a little bit of time and patience. Make sure your hips are still squared off to the top of your mat. And even if this is all we're going to be today, or if you're just where you're reaching for your toes, just by holding that for the time that we're practicing this pose, you will go deeper eventually over time. A little is better than nothing, right? So a full mermaid variation would have your left hand reaching out towards the ceiling, and then your right hand reaches up, bend at the elbow, reach back, clasp on the fingers. This is a big posture, a big opening. And it's a beautiful pose too, and it feels really good, but maybe not the first time you do it, right? So take what works for you today, find the posture that serves you today, and let this be a measurement of your flexibility. And definitely just find whatever feels right, whatever feels good. Try to square your shoulders off to the top of your mat. For 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and release nice and slow. Let your back leg go behind you. Take your time as you come into a tabletop and just kind of move side to side, big hip circles. And when you're ready, back to down dog. Just switch sides. So we'll start with half pigeon. Left knee towards your left wrist, and then even wider towards the left side of your mat. Sink into your hips. Give yourself time just to hang out here in this variation where you're lifted in your half pigeon. Because if you're feeling it especially tight in your hip flexors, I bet you're feeling a stretch right now. So go ahead and breathe there. And try not to force past what your body is comfortable with today. If you modified on the other side, and you went into the seated figure 4, or you lied down into the figure 4, then make sure you do so here. So again, seated figure 4 looks like this, and make sure that you're actually lifting through your chest. You're not caving through your back. The more you can find that flat back, lifting through your heart, the more you'll target and work the muscles in your left hip. And if you're on your back, you'll just clasp your fingers and pull it in. So wherever you are, find the position that serves you. And if you're in a traditional half pigeon, you want to lower down, take your time. And remember, if you get to that point where it's so intense that you're holding your breath, or you're tensing up, or you can't relax, then just back out. Just enough until you can find that place where you can relax And trust that over time, your body will open up and you can go deeper. As you breathe in and out through your nose, see if you can feel your belly inflate on your inhale and deflate on your exhale. And as you focus on your breath, see if you can notice any correlation between your breath and the sensation that you're feeling in your left hip and glute. As I mentioned earlier, the fascia in your body, this webbing that holds everything together, it connects everything from your jaw through your toes, from your scalp to your toes. And so just by you breathing deep, if you're aware enough of it, you can feel that connection. It almost feels like as you're inhaling, you're inflating the muscles in your glute. And as you're exhaling, you're deflating the muscles in your glute, and it's like you can feel the tension release at the same time. So you're here for just a couple more of those deep breaths. And you'll slowly rise. Just take your time. Draw your left heel in just a little bit closer, so it's not so intense on your left hip. And then set up your mermaid variation here. Remember, take your time as you go in. So it might be today where you're just reaching back with your right fingers. Might be today where you've got that foot lifting. Maybe you're clasping on. One side might be totally different than the other, and try to find that middle ground, okay? Try not to baby one side and then push into the other. So from here, just take a couple of those breaths so your body can calm down, your body can trust you. You can relax out of that defensive tensing. Especially if, think about it, what does your body do all day? It's either laying down or sitting down or standing. How much of your actual day is spent doing yoga, spent in postures like this? So you got to give your body a chance to recognize what's going on. If you are ready to go a little bit deeper, you can hold your ankle in a little closer. Again, make sure your hips are squared off to the top of your mat, so you're not shifting your hips to the side. All 5 of your right toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. Your shoulders are open. The volume. Can you see the eye rig? Is it going? No. Is the phone black? Man, you guys, I don't know what's going on with the audio, but if I speak up, can you hear me now? If you guys were on your phone at the moment. All right, so if you're doing your half mermaid, go ahead and work your toes into your elbow here. You'll have your right fingertips pointing up. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be speaking up now. That's really too bad. Technical issues, you know. And then if you want to go into a full mermaid variation, you'll reach your left arm up and back, opening up through your chest. And remember to square your shoulders off to the front of your mat as you do so. So if you're doing this and it means that you're totally open to the side, then maybe it's a little too soon to go into the full variation. You want to meet your practice where it is. So take what works for you, even just holding here, big stretch to your shoulder, through your hip flexor, through your quad, even through your hip. Find the variation that serves you for just a couple more deep breaths. For 3, 2, 1, release, nice and slow. We'll come back into a tabletop and then just wag hips side to side. And then from here, come back into your down dog. Shift your hips back. Take your time as you sink into your hips, maybe pedal out your legs. And when you're ready, step your right foot forward. Lower your back knee down. Shift your hips back, splits prep as we were here before. Just do the same thing here. Your hamstring should be a little bit more open and warm, so you might be able to go a little bit deeper. And if you want to just modify, you'll stay here. If you want to try full splits, you ready? You'll shift your hips forward, dragging your left leg back, your right heel forward. Remember that even in a posture like this, you want to meet your practice where it is. You want to find the place where you can still relax. So if you're here and you're like, oh, I got the splits, you're too far, okay? You need to breathe. So this is a great place to use a prop, either underneath your hands, or you can even slide it underneath your right hip and just hold. Just breathe. So this is where I was, when I was last night thinking about this practice, I was like, oh, I should really practice so that my splits are deeper. But, you know, come on, this is live yoga. Let's all just be real and authentic with ourselves. My splits has always been a challenge, but not nearly as much of a challenge as my straddle splits, because, wow. But for now, this is where I'll be, and breathe. And make sure that all 5 of your left toes are pointing directly back. You're not opening up towards the side. You definitely want your hips square. And if you need to back out, then back out. If you need to modify, then modify, all right? You'll only improve your practice if you can find that place where you can breathe and relax and then consistently hit it going deeper every time. So for the purpose of opening up this right hamstring, we'll be here for a few more deep breaths. Make sure that you're sitting up tall through your chest. You're not hinging forward at your hips. If you are, you might need to modify back out. And I highly recommend, if you have it, place that prop underneath your right hip. It really helps. Right toes are flexing back. Doing so can help you engage the muscles in your right leg, relaxing your hamstring even more. And we go further into the splits. We go further into the hips, preparing for the splits in the hips and splits class coming up. So when you're ready, take your time, nice and slow. You can walk your hands forward and drag your left knee forward, maybe drag your right heel back. And slowly inch your legs a little closer towards each other. Move your prop out of the way and come into a hero. So remember how we started this practice? Sitting on your knees and heels. Give your body time to just digest what you just did. Of all the things that you do in a day with your body, how often do you do that? So if you did that more often, your body would respond. Promise you. So when you're ready, let's go to the other side. Just step your left foot forward into a low lunge, and then shift your hips back into Hanumanasana prep. So with your left leg straight, left toes flexing back, make sure you're hinging from your hips, and give yourself a moment just to settle in, just to relax. Waking up your left hamstring once more. And remember that you can stay here the whole time. Sometimes this is all you need. Sometimes this was all I could do. But if you do feel like, all right, I'm ready to go into the splits, then you'll slowly push your right foot forward, push your left foot forward, your right heel back. And as you sink into your hips, remember that it takes a little bit of time for your body to say, okay, I trust you. So give your body that space. As you sink down towards your mat, if you used a prop on the other side, use one here. I'm going to have to get my prop a little bit higher on this side, and hopefully I can sink down a little lower over time. So wherever you are, stay lifted through your chest. Even when you're in a full splits variation, even when your hips are like down, touching down on the mat, you're still not dumping into your legs and dumping into the pose. You're really engaging still and lifting still. So practice that wherever you are. And remember that all 5 of your right toes are pointing directly back. All 5 of your left toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. Breathing smooth and deep. All right. Hopefully that felt pretty good for you guys. I've got future practices like the hips and splits and a deep stretch splits that I'm working on where we'll hold that posture for a lot longer and warm up to it a little bit more too. So for now, just take your time as you slowly come out. Moving your prop off to the side. Coming back into your hero position. Sitting on your heels. Take a big breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. I hope you feel pretty good. And that was it for the live flexibility yoga challenge. So wherever your practice was today was where it was meant to be. So especially if you're a little bit new to yoga, just remember that we all started as beginners. We all felt a little stiff and uncomfortable in our bodies in the beginning, but a consistent practice will get you far. So continue getting on your mat. And I always say that your daily practice is your strongest practice. And even 5 minutes a day is better than nothing. And even 5 minutes a day is better than 1 hour once a week, because your body responds to what you demand of it. The habits and the way that you hold your body is how your body is going to form. So the more that you can get on your mat, even if it's for 5 minutes, the more your body will respond. So that flexibility yoga challenge is something that I want you to repeat. I want you to come back to this. If it's 3 days from now, that would be good. If it's 5 days from now, if it's a couple times a week for the next couple of weeks, believe me, your body will grow and you'll gain that flexibility so fast. You can also use my 31-day flexibility calendar that's in the SarahBethYoga app. And you can sign up for the app if you're not already at SarahBethYoga.com. And tomorrow, which is Sunday, October 1st, I am uploading the 45-minute morning flow class and the 21 mornings yoga calendar with 10 to 15 to leading up to 20 and the 45-minute class. I didn't say that right. With 10-minute videos leading up through 15-minute videos, through 20-minute videos, all the way up until you hit that 45-minute class to help you gain that habit of actually getting on your mat in the morning. So let's end this recording of the live stream right now. So this is where I would end it for YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.